Every kingdom has a night when kings begin to fear. And on that storm-filled night, a child was born. The king believed he could stop the future. But when God writes a destiny, no king can ever change it. This was never only the story of a baby. It was the story of a young man chosen for something greater. For when God has written a destiny, what king could ever dare stand against his decision? Long ago, beyond the snowy mountains of the north, there stood a powerful kingdom known as Noorabad. Its ruler was Sultan Karim, a man feared across the land for his wealth, power, and ruthless rule. But despite everything he possessed, one fear never left his heart: the fear of losing his throne. Inside the royal palace lived an old scholar named Sheikh Idris, a man who spent his nights studying the skies. One storm-filled evening, he rushed into the throne room with fear written across his face.
The storm does not rage without purpose, Karim. The shadow of the betrayed approaches, and your bloodline will be the offering.
Silence filled the palace. Then, slowly, Sultan Karim called for his most loyal soldier, Saif, a warrior known for obeying every command without mercy. The Sultan handed him a sack of gold and whispered an order into his ear. That same night, beneath thunder and heavy rain, Saif rode toward a poor village hidden deep within the valley of Rahim. Inside a small wooden home lived Yusuf and his wife Maryam, who had just welcomed a baby boy into the world.
We will call him Ayman.
But when Maryam uncovered the child's small hand, her smile disappeared. A faint crescent-shaped mark rested upon his palm. Suddenly, loud knocks shook the door. Saif entered the house with rain dripping from his dark cloak. He placed the sack of gold on the table and spoke.
The Sultan has chosen this child.
No, please.
But Yusuf looked around at the poverty surrounding them. With trembling hands, he surrendered the child. Maryam's cries echoed through the storm as Saif carried the newborn away into the darkness. But the Sultan had never intended for the child to survive. Deep within the forest of Shabzar, Saif stopped beneath towering trees. For the first time that night, hesitation entered his heart. He placed him beneath an ancient tree and rode away, believing destiny had ended there. But destiny always finds its way. Far within the forest lived an old healer named Bibi Rahma. That night, while returning home through the storm, she heard the weak cry of a child carried through the wind. She followed the sound and discovered the newborn lying beneath the rain. She lifted the baby gently into her arms and whispered,
You were not abandoned. Allah protected you.
From that night onward, she raised the boy as her own son. Years passed. Ayman grew into a calm and kind young man, Across nearby villages, people admired him for his gentle heart and peaceful nature. He helped travelers, fed the poor, and treated everyone with kindness. Meanwhile, Sultan Zahir never escaped the fear inside his heart. 15 years later, during a royal hunt near the forests of Shabzar, the Sultan became separated from his soldiers during a violent storm. Lost and exhausted, he eventually arrived at Bibi Rahma's small home, hidden among the trees. There, for the first time, he met Ayman. The young man welcomed the stranger warmly, offering him food, water, and shelter from the rain. But while accepting a bowl of water, the Sultan noticed the crescent-shaped mark, the same mark Sheikh Hamid had warned him about years ago. Fear returned instantly, but the Sultan hid it behind a smile. Before leaving the next morning, he handed Ayman a sealed royal letter.
Take this message to the palace, and you will be rewarded greatly.
Ayman accepted humbly, unaware that the letter secretly ordered the palace guards to imprison him forever. Days later, while traveling toward Noorabad, Ayman stopped at an ancient mosque beside the mountains to pray and rest. There lived a wise old sage named Sheikh Suleiman. The moment he saw Ayman, something about the young man touched his heart deeply. That night, while Ayman slept, Sheikh Suleiman quietly opened the royal letter and discovered the Sultan's cruel command. Without waking him, the old sage burned the message and carefully wrote another in the exact same handwriting. The new letter ordered the palace to welcome Ayman as an honored guest of the Sultan. When Ayman arrived at Noorabad, the palace gates opened before him. Soldiers stepped aside, and for the first time in years, joy returned to the city. When Sultan Zahir finally came back, Sultan Zahir was horrified. Every attempt to stop the young man only seemed to bring destiny closer. Desperate for one final chance, the Sultan gave Ayman an impossible task. Far beyond the Black Mountains existed a sacred place known as the Noor Spring, a hidden source of glowing water. No man who searched for it ever returned alive.
Bring me water from the Noor Spring, and your future in this kingdom will be secured forever.
Without fear, Ayman accepted. He journeyed deep into the mountains, crossing frozen cliffs and dangerous valleys, until at last he discovered the glowing spring hidden beneath the rocks like liquid light. As he filled his vessel, silence surrounded him. Not fear, not pride, only peace. On his journey home, Ayman discovered an injured old traveler lying beside the road, begging desperately for water. Without hesitation, Ayman gave him the sacred water meant for the Sultan. But moments later, something impossible happened. The empty vessel slowly filled itself again, as if Allah himself had blessed the journey. When Ayman returned carrying the glowing water, whispers spread across the kingdom. People began to call it a miracle.
They say you are destined for my throne, boy. Let us see if destiny survives this night.
He ordered Ayman to spend the night inside the underground royal treasury, a deadly chamber filled with poisonous air where no man had ever survived until sunrise. The heavy doors sealed behind him.
Darkness surrounded everything. But while praying quietly in the silence, Ayman discovered a hidden crack within the ancient wall, where fresh air entered from outside. By morning, he emerged alive.
And this time, Sultan Karim finally broke. The entire royal court gathered as the Sultan slowly stepped down from his throne and stood before the young man.
I fought it my entire life. I tried to erase your future, to stop the destiny I could not bear. No man can stand against what Allah has written.
But if you truly wish to make things right, bring justice to the people of this kingdom.
Those words shook the Sultan harder than any sword ever could. That same day, Sultan Karim ordered Yusuf and Mariam to be brought to the palace. When Mariam saw her son again after so many years, tears poured from her eyes as she embraced him tightly. Bibi Rahma was welcomed with great honor, for the Sultan knew that after the mercy of Allah, Ayman had survived because of the purity of her heart. And long after those days had passed, one truth continued to echo across the mountains of Noorabad. No human being can ever close the path that Allah has already written.